Under no circumstances animal killing should be legalized. It sounds so obvious, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, welcome to our debate. It's an honor to have the chance to debate here on the stage of our beloved school. We are, my team and I, thrilled to participate for the first time in the Ecological Great Debates. We are, my team and I, thrilled to participate for the first time in the Great Eagles debates. First of all, let's discuss the components of our thesis. An animal. An animal is a living organism that feeds on organic matter, typically having specialized sense organs, a nervous system, and the ability to respond rapidly to stimuli. On the other hand, killing these creatures is simply a moral crime that should not be legalized no matter what. Let us consider the situation about animal rights in Morocco, since it's our country and where we live. Since it's our country and where we live, if we take a look at the Moroccan criminal law, we'll find that only very few articles talk about animal rights. Since the Article 601 says, whoever poisons a riding, lamb, or draft animal, like sheep, goats, and other types of livestock, or a guard dog, shall be punished with imprisonment for 1 to 5 years, while in the Article 602, whoever unnecessarily kills or amputates any animal of those mentioned in the previous article, or any domesticated animal that is located in a place owned by somebody, is only punished with 2 to 6 months of imprisonment. These laws are not enough and only showcase how little the government and the society cares about animals. These rules only serve the owner and not the animal as a living creature that deserves to live a peaceful life on this earth without being cruelly killed and abused by filthy and selfish humans. Furthermore, these rules don't even concern all the animals. They only talk about those that are owned by somebody. Overall, we witness a bitter reality in our country, which is that animals are not protected by the law. They are treated like something one can possess and kill whenever they want. Animals are objectified. Moroccan society has known many stories and news about abuse or abnormal behaviors that targeted pets and caused their harm. 2 years ago, Moroccan society was shaken by the news of a sorceress. 2 years ago, Moroccan society was shaken by the news of a sorceress practicing witchcraft. After the residents of the neighborhood in which she lived, in the city of Saleh, revealed that she takes cats and puts talismans and magic prescriptions in their mouths, or pictures of magic victims, then she sews the cat's mouth and let him die in the open slowly. And the worst part is, when she was prosecuted, she was only punished for practicing witchcraft, and she was not punished for killing and abusing an innocent cat. Animal killing is a ruthless, murderous, and brutal crime that must be abolished. Under no circumstances should these poor creatures be slaughtered in such a shameful way. I am talking to every single one of you. I am talking to your consciousness, to your humanity. I'm done. Okay. Should I?
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the jury, I am honored today to be presenting my team's introduction. So, starting off, as the Prime Minister just said, animals are living organisms, but so are plants. So if we criminalize killing animals, so does killing plants is too. So I don't see why would we criminalize people for killing animals for their own needs when we just don't defend the plants as well. So starting off my text, animal killing is the act of slaughtering animals for various reasons, such as food, but they are slaughtered for other reasons, such as laboratory testing, clothing purposes, or even self-defense. Despite the cruel aspect that it may represent, this phenomenon remains fundamental. Since the human existence, animals were killed for these same exact reasons, which means killing animals isn't something new or brutal, but has always existed for the sake of survival and the continuation of the human race on Earth. Eating, on the other side, is a priority for human well-being, as a new study in Nature proves that makes clear that not only did processing and eating meat comes naturally to humans, it's entirely possible that without an early diet that included generous amount of animal protein, we wouldn't even have become human, at least not the modern verbal intelligence humans we are today. Unlike killing animals for fur, for food, killing them for clothing, such as fur, has also existed for the sake of survival to the bad weather circumstances that our ancestors were exposed to, especially without having shelters from the cold, freezing nights and the scorching sun. It's also considered to be one amongst the first trades known to humankind. Besides, it isn't as bad as it's portrayed. In fact, the fur trade is one of the most regulated trades in the world when it comes to cage sizes, feeding and killing methods, and it doesn't involve any endangered species. Ecologically speaking, animal fur is a natural product, and it is biodegradable and lasts for generations. Unlike the fake fur, which is most likely to end up like other plastics, taking space in landfills sites for generations. In addition, the fur trade creates millions of jobs, often in rural communities, and the skills and the artisans needed for manufacturing, and the fact that millions of people want to buy fur and wear it. At the end, wearing the fur is optional and is a matter of choice, and the consumer should be allowed to choose whether it is right to wear it or not. So, dear opponents, don't you think it's contradictory to claim that animals shouldn't be killed under any circumstances, yet you are wearing your leather shoes, or maybe you had a cup of milk for breakfast or a piece of cheese, and you probably still have the taste of meat in your mouth from yesterday's couscous? I demand an explanation. Thank you.
Time passes, day after day, the world is changing and developed, but animal abuse is still a problem that the world suffers from. Dear debaters, jury, teacher, and classmates, hi. Today I'm standing up in front of you all to defend my position, which is animal killing should not be legalized under no circumstances. So let's talk about different forms of animal abuse and their consequences on the psychic side. Animals are used first as a sacrifice. In Nepal, every 5 years, thousands of animals are sacrificed. In 2014, 200,000 beasts were killed savagely. Goats, rats, chickens, pigs, horses were sacrificed in 48 hours. Then the Nepalese let all these corpses like this in nowhere for another 48 hours, thinking that they help the earth. Animals are also used for fun. The suffering of animals trained and looked up for circus acts is intolerable. These cruel acts are not an isolated case. Baby elephants were beaten to learn how to perform these tricks. Just like in any circus, The trainers hold an ankus in their hand. It's an instrument of torture terminated by a metal hook which is used to inflict pain in sensitive area of the victim's body. Animals are also used for money and trading. Behind every fur, coats hides a huge suffering. 73 types of animals are needed to make one fur, including foxes, castors, seals. Those poor animals are slaughtered with cruel method to not damage their fur. They are killed with carbon monoxide or just by breaking their necks. People who do this are getting cheered up by celebrities that you are watching and liking their posts. Especially in winter, superstars send the big amount to the hunter, not directly by the agency, to get those for. And by following them, you just cheer them to continue and kill a lot of animals. Just like humans, animals feel pleasure and pain, happiness and sadness. They also have life to enjoy it and a family to take care of it. We must not kill them. They also have right and emotion. We must not kill them just to enjoy a show or just to wear their fur. And now we're talking about the consequence on the psychic side. Research in psychology and criminology shows that people who commit acts of cruelty to animals do not stop there. Many of them transfer this violence to their fellow human being. The FBI has found that one of the character traits which regularly appears on their computer data system about rapists and serial murderers is that they have a history of animal abuse. Studies have shown that violent and aggressive criminals who often get murder and animals with their when they were kids, they are more dangerous than the others. Murder very often starts by torturing and killing animals when they were still kids. So, if you found that killing animals is normal, then you are mentally trapped, in parentheses, a psychopath, according to the scientists. Thank you.
Vegans seems right when they say that a plant-based diet can be healthy, varied, and extremely satisfying, and that not for nothing. It spares animals from the serial torments of being a part of a human food chain. But there is some vegans who are veganism has become an article of faith that has been bad for human, but it has always been bad. We were never meant to see the animal's product at all, and that our teeth, facial structure, and digestive systems are proof of that. But sorry, it's just ain't so. A new study in Nature has proved that processing and eating meats come naturally to humans. It was about 2.6 million years ago that meats becoming a significant part of the pre-human diet. If we stop killing animals, then we will be so many animals roaming around. Imagine their opening in their audience that you are walking in a city and you just see multiple causes running away and causing mayhem. Eventually, we will be forced to kill the animals. Either way, we still have to kill animals, even if we change our eating habits. Killing animals for food or survival purpose is okay and not considered as a murder. Do you think they're opening that a non-vegetarian would be survive without or be healthy enough without eating meat? I do not think so, because they will be missing energy and body forms what the meat helps body with to survive. It provides protein. And is sustenance for many cultures. Should animal be killed? This is the question that must arise in your head here in this room. Don't worry, I will be answering you as soon. Yes, because if we do not killing animals, animals will overrun the earth and we could die. Also, becoming a vegan is so dangerous. Before we left the sea, we fed on a fish. When we moved to land, we eat insects and nuts. As a primates, we have hunted the games for years and only for years. In nature, dominated species has always survived by eating other animals. For example, sharks eat smaller fish, lion may hunt the deer, and the list is even longer. Humans are the dominated on earth. We are humans and we need to survive as well. Therefore, it's normal for us to kill other animals to live, for food, for clothing, and etc. This is the nature, and no one can deny the nature. Even if we stop killing other animals, then we would not stop killing each other. So how is that can be right for you, dear opponent? If you think so, let me tell you that you are walking in the wrong way. Thank you.
Hello. Let me respond to the leader of the opposition, of the deputy leader of the opposition. We are not talking about being vegan. Vegan and vegetarianism is not the same thing. Let me explain to you what is the difference between vegan and vegetarianism. Vegan is to eating exclusively vegetables and dairy animal products. Vegetarianism is to add to this vegetables cheese and milk and animal products and stuff like this. And now I will start my speech. Killing this amazing and incredible creature that cohabits with us since the cradle of the humanity. And this just to eat rare meat or to to dress themselves with a long fur. No matter which reason they justify themselves. Animals are our neighbor, and they should live in peace and harmony in the place where they live, and not being afraid of what we can do to them, and we already do to them. And according to a study published in the journal PNAS, the change of the diet will impact and drastically change and reduce the number of deaths by 8 million. Do you even realize? By 8 million of deaths will decrease. And the big number of scientists all agree about this new solution will resolve all our health and genetic problems. Obesity, overweight will disappear. And even it will decrease the greenhouse emission. Dear opposition, do you even realize how much this small change can change radically and even prolong the future of our humanity? We need to stop killing animals. If the animals are killed, all the biodiversity will be destroyed. 100 of people see the truth in this cause. And this lifestyle is used by thousands of millions of people. And you should understand that this is the human nature. And killing animals are against that. Thank you.
Dear Deputy Prime Minister, I guess the killing animal is not an abuse, but it is an existential need. Distinguished jury, dear counter team, and especially honorable attendees, who seem to my knowledge that most of them have already reached an educational stage that goes beyond secondary education. We have all gone through this wonderful educational period or stage in which we lived this wonderful childhood full of energy and desire to learn. Please go back with me to the elementary school stage, in which you and I studied the subject, if you can remember, the scientific activity, which is the literal translation to what is in Arabic, nashat al-ilmi. This subject enlightened us with the most basic yet mandatory information. One of the most important scientific information that I learned in one of these sessions is still entrenched in my mind, which says human beings are omnivores. What a fun and basic piece of information, isn't it? However, you should thank this study material because thanks to it, I'm going to be able to prove you the gravity of the ideas that you're trying to convince the respectful audience with. An omnivore, according to the National Geographic magazine, is an organism, and I quote, is an organism that regularly consumes a variety of material, including plants, animals, and microscopic organisms. They range in size from tiny insects like ants to large creatures like us, human beings. Human beings are omnivores. People eat plants, such as vegetables and fruits. We eat animals, cooked as meat or used for products as milk or eggs. End of the quotation. What we can take briefly from this definition is the human being is a consumer or he is eating two big types of food, either animals or plants. So assuming their opposition, that we shouldn't kill animals for the main reason that animals hold feelings and have the right to live the same way human beings would like to. Humans will only have plants as the main resource of nutrition. But if you try to look up some researches, you will find that plants also do definitely hold feelings and emotions. If you have read the famous 1970s best-selling book, The Secret Life of Plants, you will know that Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird were totally convinced that plants not only have emotions, but also intuition. They conducted all sorts of experiments going from playing music to plants till vibration. So on the same tone you came up with earlier, I can also say, like, for example, how dare you kill plants, those little creatures that hold feelings and emotions and who do have the right to live just like every creature would. And I will have the urge to ban killing plants under any circumstances. Then what are we going to eat? Each other? I mean, just answer me on this question, what are we going to eat? Not only that, but this emotional way of thinking is going to bring us other more complicated and hard... Thank you so much.
Here I am, standing here before you all, defending a cause that I hold very close to my heart: animal killing. We don't realize how much weight this statement carries until we are hit with news such as the last white rhino died earlier this year, or that our kids will never know what a cheetah looks like. Let me give you an idea about how impactful human practices are on species extinction rates. The western black rhino, the Tasmanian tiger, and the woolly mammoth are among the creatures whose populations at one point dwindled to zero, and it's possible that species extinction is happening 1,000 times more quickly because of humans. Humans cause other species to become extinct by hunting, over-harvesting, introducing invasive species to the wild, polluting and changing wetlands and forests to crop plants and urban areas. Among the most famous species driven to become extinct by hunting by humans is the dodo, a bird that primarily lived in the island nation of Mauritius and was popularized by its appearance in Lewis Carroll's book, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. Dodos were first mentioned by Dutch sailors in the late 16th century and last seen in 1662 after being hunted to extinction. Fossils show that there have been 5 previous periods of history when an unusually high number of extinctions occurred in what we call as mass extinctions. Scientists are now debating whether Earth is in the midst of its 6th mass extinction, and if so, it may be the fastest one with a rate of 1,000 to 10,000 times the average extinction rate of 1 to 5 species per year. Humans are largely responsible for the striking trend. Scientists believe that pollution, overfishing, and land clearing might drive half of the planet's existing land and marine species to extinction by year 2100. Scary, right? Now that we've talked about a consequence of animal killing, let's tackle one of its most cruel forms, which is none other than the fur trade industry. In response to the leader and deputy leader of opposition, every year, the international fur trade murders upwards of 100 million fur-bearing animals, including domestic cats and dogs, killed without mercy, so that their fur can be made into products for the fashion industry. This annual count does not even include rabbits, which the United Nations reports to be at least 1 billion killed each year solely for their fur, which is used in clothing, as lures in fly fishing, and for trim and other incidentals. The fur trade is criminal, inflicting horrific torture upon its innocent victims. Fur farmers care only about profit, preserving the quality of the fur by using slaughter methods that keep the pelt intact, which results in extreme suffering for the animals. These sentient beings are strangled, gassed, suffocated, anally electrocuted, their necks broken, and even skinned alive. And there are no governing laws to protect them. As Mohandas Gandhi once said, and I quote, "I hold that the more helpless a creature, the more entitled it is to the protection of men, to the protection by men from the cruelty of men." Thank you.
Dear opponents, I truly believe that you either misunderstood the subject or our position. Maybe because we were talking with each other while my mates were talking. Anyways, we are not for torturing animals, neither killing them for no reason, but there are some circumstances where killing animals is obligatory. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings. I think that the majority of people forget that insects are animals as well. So I'm gonna tell you a story. It's gonna be quick, I promise. But first, I'd like to introduce my 2 friends. Here we have Sarah and David. Sarah and David form a happily married couple. They might not be the average couple size, but they are very much happy, trust me. They both live together in a mansion with a big garden. They both get along pretty well. They agree on practically everything, and they rarely argue. The problem is, in our couple's garden, very dangerous and pernicious species reside, like tarantulas, wasps, garden snakes, etc. The dilemma is that Sarah is a nature lover, a zealot. She refuses to kill any type of being, including insects. On the other hand, David is allergic and has a phobia of insects. Whenever he tries to defend himself from these malign creatures, Sarah would get so angry and defensive. One night, the couple perceived a spider in the corner of the ceiling. David was not in the mood to argue, so he let that Arini do its thing freely inside the bedroom. The next morning, David woke up alone. His wife was gone. Sarah is dead. Turns out she was poisoned, and you don't have to be a genius to identify the source, right? In fact, the spider that the couple saw the last night was in fact named Lexoceles reclusa, a very minute yet one of the most dangerous insects and the deadliest. So this story is a real thing. It happened in Chicago, America. You see, dear opponents, it is okay to sacrifice animals' lives sometimes when your life or your loved ones is threatened. You might tell me that what happened in the story was the result of an accident or defense mechanism. I'm gonna tell you that, defense mechanism or not, accident or not, thousands of people lose their lives because of just a harmless little insect. You see, we are not in total disagreement. Let me tell you the difference between my position and yours. My position is all about advocating human and animals' rights equally, while yours is quite a bit secular and prioritizing animals over humans, without taking into account many factors, either health-related, economical, biological, like my mate stated previously. Dear opponents, I truly believe that you have a very fallacious idea of the world. You think it's all pink and beautiful, while the reality says otherwise. I hope you open your eyes to the real matter, and that you will come back to your senses as soon as possible, or else you're gonna end up being the next Sarah. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to clear some points that our opponents mentioned. We are not prioritizing animals over humans. We are just defending their basic rights. And killing animals is not an existential need, because a human can totally live a healthy lifestyle and have a healthy diet without proceeding to the crime of killing animals. Now let me start by completing my previous point, that we do not need to kill animals. We can, but it's not a need. Our opponents here are only stating excuses to make a horrible crime seem harmless. They are encouraging you, dear audience, to accept the unacceptable and to take advantage of the animal's weaknesses and inability to express their feelings and talk to satisfy their selfish and useless desires. I just wish that each time you see an animal being killed and tortured, you simply take the time to ask yourself, is this really necessary?
As I mentioned before, the fur trade is one of the most regulated in the world. So assuming that the whole industry is based off torturing animals to extract the products is quite absurd. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but what I mean is it is rare and it is done illegally. Let me remind you that the human population on this earth is actually 7 billion, which explains the huge consumption of animal products. And like my fellow Prime Minister just said, saying that she said when, saying that, thank you.
So let's make things clear, or I can say let's be realistic. Animal killing doesn't make sense at all. Animals are also allowed to live like humans, and there is no reason to kill them. If you told me, dear debaters, to eat, you can replace eating meat with vegetables that contain what our body needs. And add to your information. Let me add to your information, dear debaters, according to the American research. Just with vegetable, we create a meat that tastes like meat. Isn't it amazing that a person that hates vegetables could eat a burger without worrying about his health? And don't be selfish. Those animals that you kill gives you like milk, eggs, all what you need. If you told me to defend yourself because they are dangerous, they're not dangerous. You should find an alternative way and avoid killing them. Example, stray dog. Okay, thank you.
In fact, we raise animals to eat them, in the reason why this the first place. In fact, as it stands in animal reproduction, in livestock, and to humans by humans being, provided these animals live as a truly happy life, which is therefore truly thousand plays from reality. Then the fact that they existed is a going things for them. In other words, this argument assumes that it's better to have lived a short but happy life. Even if its domesticated animals are killed permanently, it will be mutually beneficial relationship. Thank you.
In response to the member of the opposition, we're not talking about eating, avoiding animal products, but just the animal meat, and using and eating in our life products like milk, and the majority of scientists and nutritionists start recommended to their patients to eat vegetable meat. That is proof is more beneficial for the human of the animal meat. Thank you.
So, briefly keeping up with my idea, I would like to speak about how killing animals can maintain ecological balance. Let me explain. First of all, ecological balance as a theory, dear member of the government, is a theory. It can be defended in multiple ways. You can defend it from the way that killing animals is going to fail down ecological balance whatsoever, or you can take it in the realistic way. We can get along about the idea that ecological balance has already been in the path of destruction. And this resulted in many consequences. Let me give you an example. We all know the barbarian lion that used to live in North Africa. After he extincted, the number of the wild boars, which the lion was a main predator, have multiplied their numbers. Okay, thank you so much.
Right now, millions of mice, rats, rabbits, primates, cats, dogs, and other animals are locked inside barren cages in laboratories across the country. They languish in pain, suffer from extreme frustration, ache with loneliness, and long to be free. Instead, all they can do is sit and wait in fear of the next terrifying and painful procedure that will be performed on them. The complete lack of environmental enrichment and the stress of their living situation can cause some animals to develop neurotic types of behaviors, such as incessantly spinning in circles, rocking back and forth, pulling out their own fur, and even biting themselves. After enduring a life of pain, loneliness, and terror, almost all of them will be killed. Although we may have needed animal killing in the past in order to evolve in science fields, none of those practices are needed anymore.
Let me clarify a point that you, dear opponents, can't seem to understand. We are not pro-violence and the torture of animals. We are totally against that. In fact, I am vegetarian, but I still stand by my position. But to say that there is no circumstance to kill animals would be pushing it too far, and it would be belittling your life's words. Animals are beings. We are beings. Animals eat other beings, so why shouldn't we eat other beings? This is the nature of the life. This is the rule. I didn't make it. Thank you.